Okay. Yo, what is good, everybody? It is the Godfather of VR. It is the ageless one of the man, Lincoln Clay, coming back at you with a live stream. Boy, been out paying some bills today. Knocked out a couple of more credit cards so I can get a little bit of weight off of my shoulders. And so now between paying off my car and paying off a couple of more of these credit cards, I've probably freed up about $250 a month. So now we begin the process of trying to knock out the other two credit cards and start replenishing some of this dough that I've spent over the last month or so. But um, but yeah, because of that, I'm gonna have to tighten my belt a little bit, and that takes us right into the first subject of this podcast. So, but before I go into this podcast, I'll let everybody know it's obvious what the title of this podcast says. I want to say a couple of things about the PS5, and then from there, I'll go right into the Half-Life Alyx thing. As some of you know, Valve released about 10 minutes worth of gameplay for Half-Life Alyx. They broke it up into about 3 videos. I've downloaded all 3 videos, and after I get done saying my piece about the PS5, I'll play those 3 videos. I might even play them twice just to make sure everybody gets a good look at them. I'll play the first video, probably play it in a loop, play it twice. Same thing for videos 2 and 3, and then we'll talk about it. So let's get right into this PS5 thing. As I said, as the title of this podcast says, the PS5 is in a holding pattern for me because as I said, all the money that I spent, paying off my car, paying off some of these credit cards, and stay on top of the bills and stuff, I've got to tighten my belt a little bit. And in my last podcast, I've talked about how I might have to skip out on some of these games that might be coming up, at least in the beginning. I've talked about skipping out on The Last of Us 2, the Ghost of Tsushima, that I'll probably end up renting those games rather than buy them, because that would save me about $120 if I was to rent them, play them out, and then that's it. Because let's be honest, if they're single player games, assuming that I do finish them, I'll probably finish them, and I probably won't come back to them because I got too much VR stuff that I'm wrapped up into. And I've even talked about the possibility that I might not even purchase Iron Man VR Day 1. And at this moment, I think I'm feeling like, because I'm having to tighten my belt or trim the fat off, whatever you want to call it, I'm feeling like Half-Life Alyx and Lone Echo 2 might be the only games that I feel I might be buying Day 1. Everything else it's a wait and see approach. But definitely The Last of Us 2, as well as the Ghost of Tsushima. Those are 2 games that I will probably be renting versus buying them. And so getting into what needs to happen, how the PS5 falls into this equation. We know that it's supposed to release holiday this year, holiday of 2020. We do know at some point GT7 is a game that's supposed to be on the PS5. I don't know if it's going to launch a day and date with the console or not. That's one of the things that I need confirmation on. I need to know that that game is going to release day and date along with the console. I also need to know when they, I don't know if I officially heard anything come out of Sony's mouth, but it's been going around that GT7 is supposed to have full VR support. Thomas Ham, what is up? And just hearing full VR support is not enough for me. In particular, what I need to hear that this GT7 is going to have VR multiplayer, because if I go off and spend $500 for the console, because I'm assuming that's what it's going to cost, plus $60 or $70 for a GT7, and then I get on there and put on a VR headset, and I find out that it's VR time trial or 1 versus 1 against the PC, like we currently have with GT Sport, I am going to be extremely pissed. I mean, to the point where I may immediately put it on Craigslist and sell it. And I'm talking about the console. So that's what I need confirmation of. Not just, just hearing full VR support is not enough for me. I need to hear that it's going to have VR multiplayer. and I need to hear that the game is going to launch day and date beside the console. Until then, I'm in a holding pattern. So, PUG, what is up? So, chats. So now that I got the PSVR stuff out of the way, let's talk about Half-Life Alyx. I haven't really, like I downloaded the videos. Several people have, showed the video. Gamertag, IGN, Upload VR. They've got, they're showing their versions of the gameplay video, and I wanted to do the same, and show gameplay and give my thoughts on it. So let me dig up the first one, and when I play this video, for the most part, I'm gonna shut my mouth. If you guys want to comment while I'm showing this video, feel free, and I'll respond by way of the chat. So, and the sound will be turned up, and I'm gonna mute the microphone and shut my trap. But let's get into it. Let's show the first video, and you guys let me know what you think.
Here we go.
We're almost there.
Ew.
Oh, a health station.
Russell, the Combine use these. Are they safe for people?
Yeah, I use them all the time.
Are you sure?
Yeah, they're great.
Ow, ow, ow. Hey, you were right. These are great.
Nice throw.
All right. Looks pretty damn good to me. What I really like about it is one of the things that I talked about with VR games is how a lot of the looks pretty tense, like that atmosphere. Absolutely. I think it's going to be like an action horror game. I think it's going to have like jump scares in it rather than, you know what I mean, where maybe you open a door and something comes at you. I think you're going to have jump scares like that. And another thing that I like about the game is the colors look pretty good on that game. Graphics look amazing. I mean, graphics look current gen. And it, the graphics don't look like something this last gen. It doesn't look like PS3. Yeah, there's 2 more videos, so I want to talk about this one a little bit, uncompetitive, and then I'll get to the second one here in a second. So, but I think the color looks pretty good with a lot of VR games that we have out there right now. A lot of the color look washed out, and I love those deep, rich colors. But let's go ahead and get into the second video. And again, I'm gonna mute myself, and I'll respond to you guys in the chat. And let's check it out.
Well, we've got to get you out of here and up to the roof.
I'm working on it. Russell, are you seeing this?
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Look out. Gotcha. Damn it. I'm really starting to think I shouldn't be breathing this stuff.
Agreed. Just keep moving. Maybe breathe less.
Crap. Oh, they're
important in this community.
Oh, man.
Code. Locked. Cauterized. Stabilized.
Look, they're looking for you now, okay? So just be careful.
I'll be ready.
Whoops.
Well, we've got to get you out of here and up to the roof.
Okay. This is better with free movement. Yeah. Now, from what I understand, they were supposed to show. I'm thinking that maybe this was the gameplay they were supposed to show at the Game Awards, because they were supposed to show gameplay and it didn't happen. A rumor came out that they didn't do it because they were supposed to be working on full locomotion rather than teleportation, because a lot of us, and we're far along in VR right now, that a lot of us want the option of teleportation or free locomotion. So I hope that is the case. I hope it does have free locomotion. I believe it will, but if it doesn't, that's not going to stop me from playing it. I'm still excited about this game. Something else that I need to point out is that I am live streaming in 720p. So what you guys see and what I was looking at was two different things. The image that I was looking at was razor sharp, and what you guys saw is in 720p. But still, you can see that these are current gen graphics. To me, it does not look like something from the Xbox 360 or the PS3. I have been professing that for quite a while now, that a lot of these VR games that's out here right now, they're like an entire generation behind flat screen games when it comes to graphics. But I think Lone Echo is one of the games that I feel has current gen graphics, and now we have this game. So it's only going to get better now, and I even think the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners looks pretty damn good. You said 720p never looked so good. So let's get into the third video, and then we'll just go ahead and have a free fall and talk about this game. So once again, I'm going to mute myself, and I'll be responding to comments in the chat. Okay. I decided to go ahead and let this continue to run into a loop, so you guys can keep checking it out as we talk about this. And I did cut the sound down. Now, one of the things that was slick right there, the way he pulled the door open and used it as cover, I thought that was pretty slick. There was one thing that caught my eye when he climbed up that ladder and shot that soldier. It happened so fast I couldn't see whether I seen the blood splatter from his body, but I don't know if it was on the ground. Right here, this part coming up right here. Okay, it was splattered against the wall. All right. I mean, I think it would have added to the realism if it was splattered on the floor too. If it was leaking out of his body as if it was on the ground. But hey, I'll take that. It looks pretty damn good, very good. So I'm excited about this game. What do you guys think? And while I wait for your comments, I am going to go and grab a drink because I am extra thirsty. I will be right back. Okay, now one of the things I'm curious about as far as the gameplay goes, you probably notice how they put their hand out there and they draw things to their hand like they're using the force. What I'm wondering is if is that supposed to be a special power within the gloves that he's using, or is that just something that they had to do, something that they felt like they needed to do because of the teleportation thing? I don't know. Looks amazing. Can't wait to see you PC VR streaming it. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be streaming that day one. The only thing about it is that I may have to turn the settings down on my PC so it doesn't put a strain on my PC. But I'll definitely stream it. So we got 21 days, three weeks from today. Matter of fact, I guess whatever bonuses for the pre-orders were supposed to start going out today. I don't know if it was some kind of like Half-Life theme or what have you, but it was. I think the bonuses, pre-order bonuses, were supposed to start going out today. Yeah, Thomas, and it looks pretty damn good. Now, I mean, look at the detail around the area. These are, to me, these are current gen graphics, and this isn't PS2, PS3. Or 360 graphics. These are current gen graphics. So, so I guess I would say that VR graphics are starting to catch up to flat screen graphics. And that's the one thing that I wanted more than anything is realism. I wanted realistic graphics, excuse me. Playing games where the graphics and the characters look like Lego blocks, But I prefer realism. Thomas Hand, yeah, physics are good. Uncompetitive Valve has been busy. Yeah. Look at the details on that. The shadows, the textures, all that stuff. So I think this is going to be an amazing game. And as I said about the movement, I would prefer, free locomotion. You said, well, it'll look amazing in the headset. Yeah. I mean, like for people wearing the Valve Index, I think the resolution on the Valve Index is 1600, I believe. But what about those who might be playing it in a Pimax or HP Reverb or something like that? That with that 4K resolution though. Impatient Fire, what is good? But hey, you know, I think it's still going to look damn good. And that 1440 of the Rift S, I think it's going to look pretty damn good. So, you said you can't wait for PS5? Yeah, it's a mixed bag for me, Impatient Fire. At the start of this podcast, I was talking about how me pre-ordering the PS5 is in a holding pattern for me because I need a few things to be confirmed. You know, one is GT7. I need it confirmed. I need to hear it from Sony's mouth, not rumors. You know, not Jason Schreier or whoever. I need to hear it come from Sony's mouth or Digital Polyphony that GT7 is going to launch day and date alongside the console. And I also need confirmation when they say full VR support. That's not good enough for me. I also need to hear that it's going to be VR multiplayer. And even when you're online, I also need confirmation that you're going to be able to race against an entire grid and not this shit that we have right now with these VR time trials where it's just you on a track or one-on-one versus AI, especially AI that drives like a kindergartner. So that's the confirmation that I need. And I'm not going to be rushing to pre-order the PS5 until I get confirmation on those things that I just spoke of just there. So if that be the case, because, you know, you guys heard me say it before, about 90, maybe even 95% of the reason why I'm even going to get the PS5 is because of the VR aspect of it. I mean, The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima will already have been out by the time the console comes out. So other than Godfall, we know stuff is coming out, but we don't know. You know, we know that Guerrilla Games is working on something. We know that Insomniac eventually is going to get to work on Spider-Man 2. But how far out are those games? And, you know, and I think Bluepoint is supposed to be working on a remaster. I don't know if it's this Final Fantasy demo that just came out. I don't know if that's it. I don't know what it is they're working on, but so basically after Godfall, we don't know what's coming except, you know, as far as what came out of Sony's mouth. If I get confirmation of all that stuff that I just spoke of, Impatient Fire, then yeah, I will get a day one. Thomas Hands, Sony are right to wait for PS5. I'm sure they will have loads of games ready to go for VR. I'm sure they will too. But what I'm saying is that if I buy the PS5 and then I find out that VR time trial bullshit is still there, which is on GT Sport, and then we don't hear anything for a while of what might be, you know, in the pipeline for, you know, next generation VR games, I'm going to be pissed. Impatient Fire, GT7 will be a huge upgrade VR wise, I'm sure. I'm pretty confident we'll get GT in some form at PS5 launch. GT6 was the only time we didn't get a GT game early, and it was a mistake. I mean, we know they're working on it because, you know, we heard that stuff coming out of Sony that they were able to upscale GT7 to 8K. So we know they're working on it. The question is will it be ready? Will it launch day and date beside the console? Shats, you said if 8 had a PCR, I'd probably agree with Lincoln. You said if I had a PC VR, I mean, if I had a PC VR, I'd probably agree with Lincoln. I get it. Initially, I said I was going to get PlayStation 5 day one. All I'm saying right now is that I'm in a holding pattern until I get more information. Once all that stuff gets confirmed that I'm talking about, I'll pre-order it right then and there. You know, as far as this stuff that I'm looking for from GT7, the ability to race against an entire grid while you're offline, the VR multiplayer, I do believe we're going to get that, but I need to hear it out of Sony's mouth, and I need to hear it from Digital Polyphony. I need to hear it from one of those two, and Once I do, you know, then it's on. Eric, you're asking me if I'm going to play the demo for Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Probably not, because I don't really play flat screen games anymore. Even last night on my Xbox, I tried to play Rainbow Six, and the match didn't even start before I shut the Xbox off. I was at the menu screen. There was a countdown. I got to the screen where I could select my operator, and I just shut the Xbox off. I had no interest in playing it. So I can, and I've never played a Final Fantasy game in my life. So that's all the more reason it's flat screen, and I'm unfamiliar with the Final Fantasy franchise. So chances are I won't. Let's see here. Impatient Fire. Sony lost a lot of GT sales by putting GT6 on PS3 and not having it ready for PS4. Lowest selling GT game on consoles. No, I don't think I bought GT6 because I think when they had that prelude, because if you remember, I think they had that Gran Turismo prelude where they introduced like a part of the game where you could use a few cars and a few tracks. The game looked amazing, but the fucked up part about it was it looked like they took assets from previous iterations of Gran Turismo, like the one that was on the original one that was on the PS1. It looked like they plucked the cars right out of that game and placed them into the PS3. It looks like they didn't do any new laser scans or anything like that of the cars. So it was like when you use classic cars, vintage cars that was on the original Gran Turismo, they had those PS1 graphics with the jagged edges and shit. When I saw that turned me off, and I had no interest in buying GT6. If that, I think that's what it was. So no, and I mean, and even GT Sport, I was apprehensive about buying that, but I bought it because of what was perceived to be the VR aspect of it, because we had Drive Club and it had the VR multiplayer that I was looking for, but it was blurry as shit. So when GT Sport came out and they were talking about VR support for GT Sport, I was under the impression that the game was going to have VR multiplayer and that it was going to look better than Drive Club and it wasn't going to be blurry. And I bought the shit, saw that the VR was VR time trials or 1-on-1 against the AI, and I sold it. And then I think I eventually came back and bought the shit again when it was on sale. Because I originally paid the $60 for that shit, and then ended up coming back buying it. I think I had caught it on sale for $30 and bought it again. Coming back to some of these comments, sport was always a bit of a test. That's what you said, Thomas Hand. Impatient Fire, I feel you on that. You should only pre-order when games you want are confirmed. Yeah. Impatient Fire again, you saying I'm downloading the Final Fantasy 7 demo now myself. Let me know what you think of it. I don't have any interest in it, but hey, you guys let me know if you like it. Eric, no matter what, PS5 day one, they deliver on games. They do. I just need confirmation of what I'm looking for first. The stuff that I'm talking about, I do believe we're going to get it. I'm just saying that I'm not going to pre-order the PS5 until the stuff that I'm looking for, until I hear it directly come out of Sony's mouth or Digital Polyphony. Farthest. Oh no, Half-Life Alyx look a lot less detailed with this build. I don't think you should. The game is extremely detailed. I think one of the things you should keep in mind is this live stream is in 720p. I've tried before to up the resolution, but it was automatically set basically based on your internet speed. And I think my internet speed was such that I could only stream at 720 or 30 frames per second. So, what I'm looking at right here, because you guys are watching my stream, but this video that I have playing in a loop is the downloaded video. And to me, it looks crispy and it looks detailed. I think they did a tremendous job with the detail on this game. So, Impatient Fire, you said those legacy PS2 cars were a huge mistake on GT6. They look like shit. I bought it and a few of my friends you know, and very few of my friends own it. Yeah, it was like, to me, it was like they didn't do any laser scans of the cars, so, you know, so it would have up-to-date graphics. To me, it looked like they took shit from the PS2 and ported it right over to the PS3. So the cars had jagged edges. There wasn't really like reflections and shit like that. So it looked like absolute dog shit. And because of that, I did not buy GT6. But one of my friends in Rhode Island, he pointed out something that I never even thought about. When they released that GT Prelude, I'm like, why are they only releasing part of the game? Only for you to have to buy the rest of the game later. And he said they need money. He said they need money to finish development. I was like, ooh, I didn't think of it that way. And because they did that bullshit ass port, you know, pulling games from the PS2 generation and placing it on GT6, what he said made all the more sense. Impatient Fire, you were responding to Eric. You know, Sony has the best exclusives. They do. And I think they're going to continue to have the best exclusives next generation. And Fardis, you said Final Fantasy VII has the best graphics of any game to date. I'm not going to argue that because I haven't been keeping up on the flat screen games lately. As far as flat screen games goes on my PS4 Pro, I think the last flat screen game that I bought was Days Gone, and I thought the graphics was pretty good on that, but people were saying that Death Stranding had the best looking graphics that they see this generation, and it wasn't my place to argue with that because I haven't seen it. So until I see Death Stranding, out of the games that I've played so far this generation on the PlayStation, I think Detroit Become Human probably still remains having the best graphics that I've seen. That city of Detroit, especially at night, looks so detailed, so alive. You know, even the part where that android was screaming and telling that chopper to get out of there, and he went like that, and when that chopper flew out of there, I was like, man, I would have loved to saw that in VR, because that shit was just so detailed, you know. And as far as other games, you know, I'd probably say after that, the best looking graphics that I've played would, you know, you could make an argument for Spider-Man and God of War, because those games look amazing too. Let's see here. Farthest textures seem more solid colors. I just recall seeing more dynamic surfaces. It probably has to do with PS5 being around the corner, possibly. And Impatient Fire, you said, yeah, GT games always have prologue releases before the main title releases. GT Sport is a prologue to GT7. Yeah, I kind of looked at GT Sport as like an interlude, but it's a full game though, even if it's a prologue or an interlude. Now, that one that they did, you know, leading up to Gran Turismo 6, that was not a full game. That was almost like a $40 demo that you paid for, because if I'm not mistaken, that prologue, that Gran Turismo prologue was $40. And then I guess what you did was, if you decided to buy GT6 when it came out, you only had to pay the remaining $20 to get the game. You said Final Fantasy VII has twice the detail of Detroit, if not more? Oh, shucks. Said Shadow of the Colossus remakes. Yeah, I did. I think I rented that. I really had no intentions of playing it. I just wanted to see how good it looked, because I think Shadow of the Colossus, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the game that kicked off 2018 for Sony, and it was a damn good looking game. And then it was like from there, it was like more good shit to come, you know, with God of War. Detroit Become Human, and Spider-Man. So it was like, 4 straight bangers, if I'm not mistaken, for 2018 with Shadow of the Colossus, which I thought looked amazing. God of War looked amazing. Detroit Become Human looked amazing. Spider-Man looked amazing. So I think Shadow of the Colossus kicked off what was an amazing year for Sony that year. Thomas Hand, laters Lincoln, catch you on the round table tomorrow, bud. All right, do what you do is in the house. I catch you on the round table tomorrow. Yeah, have a good one. Impatient Fire, Detroit looks fantastic. Best looking game I've seen is Death Stranding, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, and Spider-Man also up there. Yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn looks amazing too. Now, I will say this. With Detroit Become Human, I do believe it is the best looking game that I've ever seen. But maybe I'm being a slight bias because I do live in Michigan. And I got love for the Detroit teams, except for the Lions. I got love for all the Detroit teams. And there's like, as far as the Detroit Lions go, I just got an issue with ownership. But other than that, I got love, for Detroit. Patient Fire. I can't wait to play Final Fantasy 7 Remake and judge the graphics on my 4K display. Looks fantastic from all the footage I've seen. And Fartis, you said Final Fantasy 7 runs at 720p and is upscaled to 1080p and runs at 30 frames per second. I assume you're talking about the original Final Fantasy, because I would like to think that this Final Fantasy Remake, I would like to think that it's probably going to run in 1440 or maybe even as high as 1800p. I think the only way you'll see like a 2160p resolution might be like during the main menu, like the menu screen and that kind of stuff. What time we got? 6 o'clock. So yeah, I'll be ready to wrap this up shortly because I've got some things to do to get ready for work tomorrow. And I want to get some VR time in. I've really been getting back into sim racers. I spent a lot of time going back and forth between Assetto Corsa Competizione as well as Project Cars 2. Out of all the racing sims that I have on PC, I still think Project Cars is the best one. Some people like Competizione. iRacing, I think undoubtedly on PC, iRacing is the king of sim racing. It's a 5-year-old game. My biggest issue with it is it's a subscription. I think you could pay by the month, by the year, whatever. I'm not paying any kind of subscription for a racing game, so that has me. So I'm a little bit concerned about this Automobilista 2 that's supposed to be coming up here. I think it's supposed to be coming out next month, and it's used with the same Madness engine that powered Project Cars 2. So I did see some Project Cars 2 similarities with Automobilista 2. I don't think I'm going to buy that game day one. I'll wait and see what people have to say about it, and then I might even wait even further to try to catch it on G2A, and catch it that way, because you save a lot of money when you go that route. Impatient Fire, I love Project Cars 2 in VR. Absolutely, it is fantastic. And Fart, as you said, yeah, the graphics are too insane for the PS4 to handle, so the resolution took a hit. So are you talking about this? It's only in 1080? I thought it was going to be a foregone conclusion that it was going to be in 4K, because the Last of Us remake, the Last of Us remake, when it got that pro patch, I think it upscaled. I think it was upscaled to 4K, not 1440. I think it was in 4K. I might have to. Somebody can correct me on that, but I think I think the game was like when that patch came out, I think it was in native 4K. I'm not sure, as in 2160p. So, you know, if somebody can confirm that and correct me, you know, by all means. Impatient Fire, Final Fantasy VII looks sharp as hell from screenshots I've seen. I seriously doubt it's 720p. Looks 1080p to me on OG PS4. The game looks 4K checkerboard on the Pro. I don't know. I mean, it's a free demo, so I guess it couldn't hurt for me to download it and just like take a look at it for 5 minutes. I got no intentions of playing it, but I guess it couldn't hurt to take a look at it. Said Fartis, it runs at lower resolution and it still has the occasional frame drop. Top dog, what's good? The Last of Us remake was just a Pre's PS3 game. Yeah, but I mean, it got that Pro patch. And it was in after it got that Pro patch, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was in native 4K. I'm not sure though. Code Yogurt, what's up? Excuse me. Well, I'm sure. You know, with this demo being out, I give it a day or two before we see something from Digital Foundry or Candyland or, you know, one of those guys. He said, watch the Modern Vintage Gamer review of the new demo. He confirms it. Okay. Yeah, I just assumed that it was going to be a foregone conclusion that the game was going to be in 1080p on the vanilla PS4 and the PS4 Slim, and I kind of figured it was going to be a foregone conclusion that it was going to be in 1440p on the PlayStation Pro, because that seems to be the number that they can hit. On most games, you know, they hit 1440 and the game still be able to run smoothly. You said The Last of Us on Pro wowed me? Yeah. I mean, you said 900p on base PS4. Okay. Yeah, The Last of Us remastered on the PS4 Pro. Not only does it look great, I still like the multiplayer. I think the multiplayer on that game is very, very underrated. Even though I haven't played it in a while, I still think it is very fun. And as far as the flat screen games that I have, the multiplayer on The Last of Us Remastered is still one of my favorites. 900 upscaled to 1080p. Impatient, you said, I can't wait for the Digital Foundry analysis. Not saying you're lying, but I'm allergic to 1080p. And if it's 720, I'll notice even if it's dynamic. Yeah, no doubt. You know, because I can see the difference, like this video that I have playing here in the loop. It looks crispy. I mean, this monitor that I'm watching on is 1080p, but it still looks damn sharp. And then I looked at my stream on my phone, and you could tell because it's streamed, you know, because this is streaming in 720p, you can see it. But looking at what I'm looking at right here, it is extra crispy. So we're a little bit after 6 o'clock. Like I said, I got some things I need to get done to get ready for work tomorrow. And then try to get some gaming in. So, oh, you know what? That's another thing I forgot to say. As some of you guys know, the 24 Hours of Le Mans is my favorite race. I think it is the greatest race in the world. When I was a kid, you know, the Indianapolis 500 was my favorite race because that's what they showed us. You know, when I was a kid, there was no such thing as cable TV. So we never saw anything All we saw was American, broadcasting. Indianapolis 500 is an American race, so as far as races goes, that's all we saw was American races. So as a kid, I had no idea about the 24 Hours of Le Mans, but that race has so much history, and I was fascinated with the story of Ferrari versus Ford. I didn't see the movie, but I knew about the rivalry that Henry Ford II was pissed off that Ferrari backed out of the deal that they had because Ford was supposed to. They pretty much had a handshake agreement for Ford to acquire Ferrari, and Ferrari backed out of it, which pissed off Ford. All that stuff, blah blah blah. Anyway, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, I think the race used to be in May, but I think because of weather, they pushed it back to June. But in any case, I plan to find out the exact date of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. In the weekend before that, I'm going to do a 24-lap race, not a 24-hour race, a 24-lap race on Project Cars 2 on that track, on the Circuit de la Sarthe track. I'm going to turn on tire wear. I'm going to turn on fuel consumption. And, I may put in mandatory pit stops. I'm going to be going against the AI because I'm trying to reduce all stress on my computer. So, but I will turn the AI up to the point where I will have to work. That I have to bring my A game in order to have a chance to win. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to stream a 24-lap race the weekend before the 24 Hours of Le Mans, basically in honor of the race. Now, Jimmy Broadbent, he's a big YouTuber that does a lot of racing, sim racing. He also is a commentator for the FIA tournaments that Digital Polyphony holds in conjunction with the FIA. Every year he does 24 Hours of Le Mans, where he actually does a 24-hour stream. And I think when he's sleeping or taking a break, I think one of his YouTube friends takes over the car, just like in a real race, which I think would be pretty cool. I'm going to watch that this year too. That's another reason why I'm going to do it the week before. I don't know when Jimmy Broadbent is going to do his 24-hour stream, but I do not want to run into it. So I'm planning on doing my stream the week before. So I will keep everybody up to date when I plan on doing that. And I'm really excited to do that because a 24-hour race under actual race conditions, I'm looking forward to doing that. Especially with tire wear and fuel consumption and stuff like that coming into play, because it'll be a situation with this race being 24 laps. It may not be a situation where, it may not necessarily be a good idea burning up the tires trying to get to the front of the pack at the beginning of the race. I may have to conserve, fuel and tires and stuff, even if it means I have to sit back, in fifth place or whatever the case may be. The other thing to keep in mind is I'm trying to decide whether to go with a 15-car grid or a 10-car grid, just to take extra stress off of my computer. So, but I will keep everybody informed. I'm really, really looking forward to doing that. So, with that being said, it's already been an hour already. This has been a great stream. Appreciate everybody tuning in. It was a lot of fun watching the Half-Life gameplay videos with you guys. I'm really looking forward to this game. 3 weeks till today. With that being said, are you getting the VR Sphere chair? No. I'm not going that far. If you let me move out of the way. If you look in the corner of the wall right there, that's basically a folding chair, which I'll show you. I have a really small end table, and I set it up in that room right there. But the other thing to keep in mind, far this is that I live in a really small apartment. It's obvious how small this apartment is because, I'm in this room and I can get up and walk right into the kitchen. So this is a 1-bedroom apartment. I'm hoping in another year or two that I'll be in a 2-bedroom apartment or a duplex. If he said that's some advanced tech right there. Huh? So once I move out of this place, wherever I end up moving to, the second bedroom will basically be turned into my VR room, where I plan on putting a green screen in there so I can start doing mixed reality videos, like those Beat Saber streams you see, where the person's entire body is actually in there slicing the cubes rather than having this little cutout camera in a corner of the screen. So, but for right now, I can't really go putting a bunch of stuff in here that's going to take up a lot of space. You say, yeah, it might be outside of most people's budget. I have no idea what it costs. Maybe it's something that I can look into once I'm out of here. You said I would wait till PSVR 2 comes out, then get the PS5. You said move to Florida, nice and hot. I don't want to deal with that. Because I'd imagine down in Florida in the summertime, you might be getting the same shit that you get here. Because in Michigan, being that you're surrounded by lakes, it's humid as fuck here. I've been to like Tennessee, in those kind of states in the summertime. And I've been to Vegas in the summertime, especially like Vegas. You got that dry heat over there. Whereas here, we don't get as hot as Vegas. But the humidity is bad here in the summertime. So you'll be pouring sweat here in the summertime versus over in Vegas, you just got to get out of that heat, get out of that sun beaming directly over your head before it cooks your brain. Said Florida is outside of most people's safe zone. I don't know. I think this entire country, no matter where you live at, you have to deal with something in terms of the weather or whatever the case may be. Over in California, I was in California in April, and to tell you the truth, it wasn't any different than it was here in Michigan. I think the only difference was that, the temperatures was the same when I got up in the morning. But one thing that was like really fucked up about California when I was there in April, every morning I woke up, the sky was gray. And, but by the time noon came around, the weather was great. But here in Michigan, even in April, the weather could still get funky. It could easily be 35, 40 degrees in the morning. And then when noon comes around, it may only climb up to 50, depending on what's going on. We don't really get the real consistent warm weather until May. You said it's humidity bad here in Florida. That's what I was saying. It might be worse than Florida because, I know you got that humidity down there because of the beaches and the oceans and all that kind of shit. And with it being further south, so I know it's got to be worse in Florida than it is here. The Moody Astronaut, you said you can hear a zombie call for help in gameplay trailer 1 at the 17-second mark. Truth be told, I haven't had a chance to really listen to this because when I played all 3 gameplay videos, it's muted on my end. Because if I unmute it, then what you guys hear and what's coming back through my earbuds, they overlap each other. So I muted it on my end and just was trying to listen to the video, on my phone. But But once I get done with this, at some point when I decide to go into cool off mode, I'll go back and rewatch these videos, you know, and really try to break them down. And far as you said, if we live in a freezer in Canada, I do want to see Canada at least once. Because I think like Detroit is like 2.5 hours from here. You know, I think Detroit is like 2.5 hours to the east, like to the southeast of Grand Rapids. And then I think from there, I think Toronto might be, I don't know. I think Toronto might be like no, I don't really know how far of a drive it is. All I really heard is like it's across the bridge, because I was in Detroit once, and I was at a, you know, when Floyd had us come to Detroit, we were at the MGM in Detroit, and when I looked out the window, you know, one of my relatives was like, "You see that bridge right there?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they was like, "You go across that bridge and you're in Canada." And I was like, "Okay." I had to check it out. You said it hurts to breathe up here. I don't know. You know, I was one time when I was in Vegas and we were on our way home, we had a layover in Denver. So we were at the airport in Denver for a couple hours, and when I came into the airport, I immediately expected to have problems breathing because they talk about the high altitude there, but I didn't have any problems breathing whatsoever. I didn't notice anything. Damn, minus 38. Yikes. Damn. I thought we had some crazy weather. I think like in January, I think only states like Wisconsin, Minnesota are the only places that might have like consistently worse weather than us. You know, I know it can get ugly in New York, but I think we're a little more consistent than New York. Oh, excuse me. Just checking out a couple of things here before I get ready to boogie on out of here. Just taking a quick peek on my son. You said the price of being Canadian. Yeah, I mean, I'll visit it one of these days. I'll let you bring the stream down to a landing. All right. Yeah, so that's it. I'm going to go ahead and boogie on out of here. But thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And thanks for watching the Half-Life Alyx gameplay videos with me. I think it's going to be a great game, and I cannot wait. With that being said, I'm going to boogie on out of here. Can't make any promises whether I'll do some kind of racing stream later or not. But if not, I'll do something sometime this week. So just play it by ear. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. I will holler at y'all later. You know the deal. Wakanda forever. And I will catch y'all later. Deuces.